Hello, welcome back to the Atomic Dom Volleyball Channel. I'm your host, Atomic Dom. Special show tonight. I think we're going to call a little shout out to Waukesha West in Wisconsin. And the reason why I do that is because I have a nephew with two daughters on that team, and their numbers are in birth order. Yes, 1 and 2. One is the senior is a bro, and the sophomore is an outside hitter. In last match, she had 13 kills. So she brought a bag of hammers to the pin and showed up, and the rest of the team showed up too. And I think the other team messed around and found out that Waukesha West was no joke. So they're moving on. They got a game tonight, semi-state. So I'm going to try and rush through this thing. Don't be offended. I'm going to try and rush through this thing so I can watch it on Facebook Live. But all the best to Waukesha West and the other teams that are in the tournament, trying to make their way. I think the state championship up there is played in Green Bay, but I could be wrong. I'm not exactly sure. So anyhow, on this episode, what we're going to do is we're going to have more highlights from our Canadian trip where the Windsor coaches are going to get out there and do a setting drill and a middles drill on day 1. And then day 2, we're going to have KO and Berg. They're going to, who you met in the last video, they are going to run some drills and some wash drills and games. And these are things, if you need to slow down and chart each player's responsibility on the floor, by all means do so. These are great drills to get your teams going for club season. I think most everybody's out of high school season now, or just about. So club's about ready to ramp up. I know boys club kicks off next weekend for us. We're in Fort Wheezy. But anyhow, please slow down the tape, draw it out, make it work for your teams. If you have younger teams, again, these drills were designed for 14U all the way up through university level. So if you have young ones and the littles can't quite handle it, just pare it down and maybe make something work for them. So that's entirely up to you. But what else we got? Like, share, subscribe. We're trying to paddle in the big middle of the river with the algo, man. So we're trying to get out there and be among the volleyball community. So, and if anybody knows Pearl, she's overseas. I want to get her on the show and talk about her career. I know she's playing professionally over there. So I think she'd be fun to talk to. So she's got an interesting show. Anyhow, with that being said, let's get to it. All right.
Correct the mistake that you just made. So the initial kind of instruction is to wait to see where the pass is going so that you can most efficiently get to the ball. The second is staying behind the ball. So in a drill that we'll show shortly, you want to be able to execute a route that will put you in a position behind the ball so that you are as strong as possible and be able to use your legs. So in that, usually the first step off the net is a left step, left foot, to surround the ball, closing the floor. Your shoulders always want to be square to the floor target, and then you're behind the ball in a balanced, powerful position so that you can use your legs instead of your hands to accelerate the ball. So then, after you jump, you get in the air. A lot of instruction you may have heard is ball-shaped hands. Noah and I were watching a video this morning about, on Instagram, a setter had their hands down in the shape of a ball. I don't think that's correct. If I were to throw you a baseball, a tennis ball, your hand is flat until you catch it, and then you surround the ball. So the philosophy that I use is your hands are flat above you. So a lot of instruction has been the setter triangle. I also think that's incorrect. What I want to see is your thumbs are basically flat together, and your hands are flat towards the ceiling, and your pointer fingers are almost like a upright instead of a triangle. So a couple of reasons behind that. Ball-shaped hands, when you put your hands together, usually it's that triangle, and what happens is when your thumbs are down, there's nowhere to go but over the ball. So you're setting a ball with top spin to your hitter, and basically the trajectory of the ball, it's the simple physics of even a minimum of 2 spins on the ball can short the set versus trying to get it to where you go. So with flat hands and even thumbs, your hands will take the shape of the ball when you receive it. As I just mentioned, like catching the ball, your hand will take the shape of that ball. So when you have flat hands and you receive the ball, your hand's going to be in a good position that you can accelerate your thumbs through the ball, which is where the backspin on the set comes from, which the trajectory of the ball is going to carry that much further to forward. And in the same way, when you receive the ball, it puts your thumbs in a good position to set behind you as well. So you might think that you want to have your palms towards the ceiling because you're stepping behind you and it'll be easy to get your thumbs through, but you don't have anywhere to go with your wrists to put more momentum on the ball in that position. So you want to be able to receive the ball in your strongest position. So I said balance and strength in footwork, in your jump, and in your hands. The combination of that is going to give you the best possible scenario to deliver that hittable ball. Okay? So that's about it technically. And you're hearing their shoe squeak? Incorrect. It's a sound that you can just go, no, and correct them, because you want to be able to leave the ground and accelerate into your jump versus stopping and then starting again. Because with the dynamic step, you're building your momentum into your jump instead of stopping and then starting again. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's see it. Everyone can find the ball, and you leave the ground in a jump, and you want to leave the ground and land in the same area. So setters, get behind the ball. Left, right, left, finish. Square to four. Good? Okay, good.
Left, right, left to finish. Square to four. He talked a lot in the beginning about hand shaping. He didn't believe that hand shaping was correct. He wanted to keep hands flat, and as you receive the ball, like you would catch any normal ball, catching a tennis ball, or catching a baseball, your hand will collapse around the ball. So he's saying approach it with flat hands, and thumbs, more so thumbs touching, and fingers out, almost like moose horns. It's going to be left, right, left. Left, right, left, square to four. But the object of the drill is to get behind that ball and square to four. Boom.
It's your right foot. Once you get to the right foot, that's your right. Load off that right quad, your left foot around, and jump. So there's some jump to the front, right to right, use that to jump off the front. Right behind it. Surround the ball.
So they were saying earlier that they didn't want the setters' feet, shoes to squeak on the floor. And they don't want that stop. They want continuous momentum as they wrap that left foot, that last step around the ball, go up.
For the proper hand position is you just put your hands at your side, make fists, thumbs up in front of you. Bring your hands together, put your hands up, open your hands. This is what we want. So your hands are not palms forward, your hands are not palms to the ceiling, they are just facing forward. Okay? So you want those thumbs to be parallel to each other, and you want nice big hands. Coaches, one thing you can look for is the oven mitts. You don't want oven mitts, you want nice big hands. Okay? So if your setter is up and they take the contact like this, it's just a simple correction. We want to spread those fingers out, and we want to receive the ball with as big of hands as possible. Okay? So when we're doing this, and we're coming after net, we're surrounding the ball, we're leaving the ground left, right, left, we're exploding into the ball. We want to take that ball right here. Elbows are not open, elbows are not in front of my face. They're just in a good position at the top of my head. One thing to remember is there's not a lot of setting that happens here. Setting happens here. So if you see my biceps, my triceps, they're not moving much, but I have a lot of mobility in my hands and I have a lot of flex in my wrist. So this is where you accelerate through the ball and get those thumbs going under the ball. Okay? So let's see it.
So he's correcting this player because his toe drag, after he got past that first step, he was toe dragging somewhere in between that second and third step, possibly a fourth step, in between the last step, I guess. So he's trying to eliminate the toe drag. And here's the shoe squeak that we don't want to hear. Just jumping and catching right now. I'm going to wrap and focus on the wrap and the square. Caught and seal. So simple drill. We're releasing from coach toss, going to setter station, and then we're chasing the ball, tracking the ball, and squaring to 4. Just jumping catch right now. That's a big one. So they'll move the ball around the fan. See the square standing here in the floor. Goes to the younger level, 16th level.
You get to the ball, get here, that's when you can spring off your feet, jump straight up in the air. From side jump, forward jump, because then the ball gets manipulated to the place that you don't want to say. You jump straight up, you're just like I said earlier, you smooth your whole contact. That starts with step 1. Good job. Behind it.
Square, when you can wrap that left foot more. First step makes that big dynamic step. So you want you to take a big dynamic step on that first step. And if it takes 5 steps to get around the ball, that's fine. We prefer left, right, left to get to it. So how dynamic that first step has to be. Coach in the gray hoodie is the setter for Windsor University. So for this drill, they're putting targets in 2 and 4, and once he gets comfortable with the 4 ball, he will move his setter to push the 9.
The way it works is there's a setter
Games going around the world.
a setter in 2, a setter in the middle of the court, and a setter at the right tee, right side attack line. So the first ball is going to be entered by the coach, and it's going to go to 4. The 4 position is going to set the 2 position. The 2 position is going to set the player in the middle of the court, and the middle of the court is going to set the player on the perimeter. The perimeter is going to go back to 4, and it's a continuation drill. So once this set happens, he's going to take a step down the line about 1 meter. So every time the set goes back to 4, he advances 1 meter. So he's going to go all the way from the attack line to the corner, to the opposite corner. The trick is going to be
Nice.
the 4 position has to set the ball 9 meters. The 1 and 2 is going to follow and give the ball to the middle. The middle is going to continue here, and then the big set is the lead setter to get it all the way to position 4. So the trick is, this is kind of it's a high strength, high technique drill. So if you have to condense that smaller for developing athletes, make it a challenge for them because you want it to be outside of their comfort zone, that they're setting the ball further than they normally would have to. They don't have to jump set here, but the importance is on the technique getting around the ball and using your legs. This is where the majority of the distance is going to come from, your legs. So that setter, the lead setter,
the set wants to be high enough from the middle that they can get around it, be in that same position as if they're going to jump, getting their hands to the position where they can set it in front of them, and then accelerating to meet it, because this is going to be different where it's going to go further than the set that they're used to, right? So the trajectory is going to be higher. This is basically an out-of-system set, but the target is to give that floor position a hittable set again. So let's see it in real time. I'll enter the ball. So a point that was brought up earlier was what happens when the setter is penetrating from defending and the pass is tight to the net. And what you might see here is if the ball is set to Marcus's right, the footwork is reversed because you want your setter to be closing to that floor position if they're moving in a different direction. So if they're coming off the net, you want that left, right, left finish. If they're going towards the net, it's going to be right, left, right. That also applies to when you're working on out-of-system setting, and if your default is to, if the setter plays the first contact and your sixth defender is coming in to play the ball, and they're going to choose to set left side or right side, they're going to dictate where they go by if they're finishing left-right or if they're finishing right-left. So that applies to non-setters, but it's really important to relay that because setting the ball is universal to every position, and that's where they're going to be in the strongest position possible, moving the most efficient possible, and that's where six defenders, five defenders are in non-setters. Okay? So let's try and set this up. We need 4 setters per court.
All right, so coach entries to the 4, 4 to the 2, 2 to the middle to lead setter. Each time the ball comes to the lead setter moves back at least 1 meter, making his way all the way around to the D5. And the goal is to push that ball completely to the pin no matter where you are, so lots of legs.
Once you get here, guys, it's done.
All right, so we're stopping at the 5. These guys are working their way around there.
If you want to talk on the side, or if you have any for the group, now's the time to kind of bring them up. But thanks for coming out, guys.
All right, gang, that was it. I hope you enjoyed our trip to Canada. I know we did. And so that kind of ends the Cherry Poppin' series. You know, it's kind of episode 2. Really, it's 1.2. But we're going to call it episode 2. I'm about ready to check in. I know we talked earlier about the Waukesha West game, so I'm about ready to get into that. Also, just going back to, you know, the things that we saw at the clinic, you know, it's a great opportunity for players. I mean, they love it when university players are right there running through the drills with them. I'm sure you've all attended camps before, but if not, I encourage you to find a clinic or a camp at a university near you. Travel if you have to. I've been to several, you know, Purdue, Ball State, Ontario, Illinois. So I've been around, and it's really interesting to see how the coaches put things together, their philosophies and strategies of how they train their teams. And you take all that back and put it in your notebook, and it's just tools for you in your toolbox to train different teams, because not every team is going to have the same skill set. So let's make sure that you go back and get those drills down. Leave comments. If you need some help with it, let me know, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. But anyhow, I think that's about it. Special shout out to Steph and Al at the Hurricane Club in Ontario. There's not many clubs around there, and it's really amazing that there's only 35 million in the entire country of Canada, and there's probably a handful of clubs just in Ontario. And Ontario is a big space, so unlike that, I mean, you come to the States, and you know, if you go right down south from there, if you go Michigan, Indiana, Kentucky, you know, you've got nearly 100 clubs. So there's plenty of opportunity for those universities up there to grab boys and get them on the team and make offers to them. We actually saw a soft offer happen at the clinic, which was great. But it's just crazy how it's taken off up there. I think that a lot of them figure out that, you know, hockey is a pretty low ceiling for them, and they're not going to go very far, and the expense is incredible. So which brings me up to another topic. I think just those kids grow up skating, right? So they're skating, they're pushing, and their legs and their core and everything is developed at a very young age. And if you could see these kids built like our kids, you know, skinny, all scrawn, no brawn, as I say. But if you can just see them, they hit the ball so aggressive and incredibly powerful. It's impressive to watch, even at the younger level. But by the time they get to 18U, look out, man. They're like dropping bombs on that back row. They're hitting it like a man. And I think, that's just my personal take on it. I mean, who knows what kind of training they do, but it's a lot different than a soccer player coming up through and trying to swing on the ball. I mean, yes, there are those good athletes, but I just think that hockey training, skating from a very young age and developing that agility really makes a difference and translates into our sport wonderfully. So if you've not seen any of those boys play up there, dig out some photos, videos, whatever it is that you need to find online. But they do a great job up there. So again, Steph, he's an awesome club director. I think he's the 18U's coach, and then Al is also he's the 16U coach. And they do things a little different up there with their club. Like each individual team is like its own club under one umbrella of another club. So it's just how they do it in Canada. I don't know. But anyhow, if you see those guys on the tournament circuit, reach out, say hi. They are truly great dudes. They laid out a perfect format for learning, taking in the game, and then made it an event. Friday night we got to see a university match, University of Toronto versus Windsor, which was great. Saw a signing. I think I mentioned that in the last one. And then, it was day 1 and 2 of skills and 6v6. And then there was drills and 6v6 and competitive games where everyone got to play sort of a round robin. All the different clubs got together. There was even a mixed team. Funny thing, our man Berg, he lines up with they needed extra players, so he decided to play. Now, he's just over 35 by 2 years. So he was out there absolutely wrecking shop on the net, which was impressive. And those boys know what it's like. That's what a D1 athlete and how they react. So great opportunity for them to catch him doing that. But anyhow, I got nothing. So I'm going to close this out. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I hope we can talk and discuss other things about volleyball and where we're going to be traveling, that kind of thing. And hit me up on the road. Hit me up on Instagram at AtomicDom64. I'm always out there doing some crazy, dumb stuff. I don't know about crazy, but hopefully fun and dumb. So anyhow, with that, peace in the streets. Atomic Dom out.